when you have a deeper understanding of the law, you can make the law alive and you can share it, you can empower it, can empower you.
Stay sharp and stay prepared. Digest PH offers codals, case briefs, and study materials trusted by both law students and lawyers. Use our code LAWSDigest for 20% off your subscription. Visit their website at www.digest.ph.
I am Attorney Haron, and with me is...
Attorney Hanan.
And welcome back to The Lost Podcast.
Everyone, we hope you are all doing all right.
We are excited to have you with us for this bonus episode as we dive into the world of law, life, and everything in between. So whether you're commuting or studying or, just taking a breather, we are glad that you are tuning in because it's time to get lost. Assalamualaikum everyone. Hi, Attorney Hanan. Welcome back sa bonus episode natin ngayon.
Welcome back. We prepared not just one bonus episode but two.
Bonus episodes.
Oh, kasi yung
Kala ko ba next year pa ang season 5. Bakit biglang may pa-bonus episode?
Kasi bitin. Ang daming nagsasabi na bitin kasi
Yes.
yung one episode natin was our special episode.
Anniversary episode. So technically parang we only had 9 guest lawyers for
Yes.
season 4. That's why we prepared this special episode, bonus episode for everyone, for our listeners.
So, Attorney Aaron, sino ba itong bonus episode guest natin? Ipakilala mo na.
Okay, sige. Our guest lawyer for this bonus episode obtained his Juris Doctor degree from the University of the East. And he passed the 1999 bar exam, the bar with the lowest percentage of passers. Grabe.
Amazing.
Everyone here with us is Attorney
Attorney
Algamar
Algamar
A.
A.
Latif. Please say hi to our listeners, Attorney.
Yes, hi. Magandang umaga o magandang gabi or hapon sa inyong lahat.
Yes.
Thank you for tuning in
Oo,
dito
thank you.
sa ating podcast.
And sir, thank you. Thank you so much for deciding to share your story with us here sa TLP.
So, let's start na, with the first question. Ready ka na ba, sir?
Yes, ready. Mahirap ba yung mga question?
Hindi naman. I-walk down the memory lane ka lang namin.
Okay.
We will start with your pre-law program. Ano ba ito, sir? Anong yung naging pre-law program nyo?
Well, I took political science because at that time, it was very political in Metro Manila at nagrarally yung mga sa tuition fee, konting increase kahit 10 pesos, nagrarally na sila, nagpo-protest. And at that very early stage, I was enlightened how the society works na ito pala, when you protest, there is a result. So, yun, parang na-inspire ako doon na mag-aral ng political science at the first instance.
Did you grow up ba sa Metro Manila?
Yes, bata ako doon ako lumaki. Our father, kasi it was conflict during that time, So, he's a businessman and doon niya nakuha yung business. So, we are 12 in the family.
Ang dami niyo,
and
sir.
then, at that very early stage, nandun na kami lumaki. Pero every year, nandito naman kami nagbabakasyon.
Okay.
But I also took my elementary here at the Jamiatul Philippine and Islamia. I'm very proud that I graduated in GPI. GPI. Yeah, I'm an alumni of GPI. Okay niya yan, school.
So, sir, pang ilan po kayo sa 11 na magkakapatid?
Sa number 7 ako sa 7. In the middle.
In the middle?
Yes.
Okay. So, are you the first lawyer in the family or may naunang maging...
Sa magkakapatid, I'm the first and second yung si
Sir.
Jamal. Yeah.
Right. Which we also hope to have him din sa podcast.
Yes.
Okay, going back, sir, sa undergrad nyo, you decided to get political law as your program. How was it naman? When you got into the program, sa tingin mo ba okay sa'yo yung program na yun?
Yes, mas marami akong binabasa, mas enlightened ako sa nangyayari sa society even now. I can read the politics, I can read and I can, based on my reading of the society, sometimes ito mangyayari. So you have that kind of skills because of the readings that you have. Although I'm also interested in international relations, yung mga pangyayari.
Pero bakit hindi international relations ang kinuha nyo instead?
I think medyo yun yung maraming nagpo-protesta ng mga estudyante. I was carried out. Ito pare. Political
Okay.
science, dito tayo. So,
Pero did you ever plan na I will take this program to pursue Juris Doctor or law school?
yes, that is the plan. Even before I enroll. When you enroll political science, most of the students, after they graduated, they go to law school. But actually, it cannot help you with respect to academically sa law school, political science.
Pero ano yung sa tingin mo, sir, na nakatulong sa'yo sa AB political na program mo pagdating mo sa law school?
I developed this habit of reading, So I read a lot. And in law school, I read books that those are very old. Yung mahihirap na intindihin na libro.
And aside from the habit of reading, do you think may mga subjects sa political law na nadala mo when you
Political science,
got into law school?
Political science, yeah. Constitutional law is related to political science. So, yeah, my favorite is constitutional law. And it is also good that when I became a lawyer, yun yung ko. That's the reason that I frequently go to the Supreme Court about constitutional issues.
Kaya pala. Ang dami nyo.
Kasi for the information of everyone, of our listeners, Attorney Alga or Algamar has actually filed a lot of cases before the Supreme Court. Diba? One example, sir, if you could give us yung sa tingin mo yung favorite mo na...
Yeah, the first time I argued en banc before the Supreme Court at the age of 37 was the synchronization law.
Okay. Hindi, parang bata pa ako nung naririnig ko yung synchronization law na yun, sir.
This is a law that actually when I became a lawyer in 2001, I filed at that early stage.
Okay.
I filed a case against the Supreme Court questioning the constitutionality of Republic Act 1954, yung ARMM. Why?
Opo.
Because it is not synchronized with national election. But it was dismissed by just one liner by the Supreme Court. So I was challenged, and then until such time in 2010, when we planned to have the ARMM election synchronized with national election. So yun, that's the first thing.
And yung recently, sir, is yung about sa Mindanao State University.
Yes, kayo nagnotaryo noon eh. Yes.
Yun
I
judicial.
have two pamangkin.
Who's in law school ba?
Law school sa MSU. Sabi ko, paano to? Saan sila makakapag-transfer?
Totoo.
So I told my pamangkin ko na nag-aaral dyan. Sabi ko, mag-file ka na ng petition. Mag-convince mo yung mga student government. Sabi nila, ayaw daw. Sabi ko, ikaw na lang. But before we filed it, I had a communication with the dean. Okay naman siya. Pero we waited first na yung MSU ay mag-file muna. So when they filed it, the next day we filed.
This is the case of Mindanao State University College of Law versus the Legal Education Board.
Oh, yes.
Ayun. So may kinalaman ka pala doon, Attorney Hanan, bilang taga-notaryo nung...
Notary lang, pero yung laman nung affidavit, si Sir Alga na yun.
It reached the Supreme Court, your name.
Ayun, let's go back, no? Parang andun na tayo sa life as a lawyer, 'di ba? Balikan natin yung life mo, sir, as a law student. Okay. Kailan po kayo pumasok sa law school?
1993.
Grabe. Hindi pa ako tao nun.
32 years ago, I think.
Grabe.
Anong hugot nyo, sir? But, di ba sabi nyo from political science pa lang, kaya nyo tinake up yun kasi you want to pursue law school. Ano ba yung naging hugot nyo na at early age gusto nyo maging abogado?
For me, it is about empowerment. Nakita ko yun eh. When you're in the context sa Metro Manila and with political science, you read history. Yung mga nagiging presidente, the one who occupied at that time higher position, hindi nahihirapan yung mga lawyers eh. because they know the law. Pati nga sa positioning, I mean, yung sa salary grade, ang laki ng salary grade, entry level ng mga lawyers. But I think it is more on, it is empowering that you can actually make the law alive as a lawyer. Pero depende na sa iyo kung how you'll make it alive.
So, you studying in Metro Manila and reading all these books that are related to political law opened up a lot of things sa'yo na which made you decide to pursue law school and become a lawyer.
Yeah, political science kasi it is very broad.
Oo nga daw, sir.
You read a lot of things. And
Kumbaga yung law school daw napakaliit lang. Yung mga pinag-i-studyan mo daw sa law school, sobrang liit nun compared daw sa pinag-i-studyan nyo sa political law.
yeah, it is broad, but it depende na yun sa iyo kung ano yung aaralin mo. And then I am more interested in the relationship of the government, yung government with the people, and then political structure ng government, public administration. So it is the relationship. So doon ako na-interest. And of course, at the time, I was an activist.
Activist.
Yes. Nagrarally kami sa Mindiola, nababatuta, natitirgas sa US Embassy. Yes.
Sir, di ba kasi UP kayo noon?
Mga kasamahan ko, mga taga-UP,
UP.
sila Samira doon, they are mga contemporary, si Mike.
Kayo yung mga aktivista.
Yes, we are the one who marched for the Mindiola at na doon, yun. Pati kahit law school.
Since na-mention mo naman, sir, yung pagiging aktivista, ngayon kasi merong pag marinig mo, ay aktivista yan, ay NPA yan.
We call it tibak, active. So, it is okay kami doon. Yes, okay kami doon. I mean, may mga okay kami doon na aktivista. Although may connotation na radical.
Radical.
So, but it is for us, we were at that time, kasi kami lang yung Moro. We carry
Oo nga.
very specific issue, not national issue.
Okay.
We carry specific issue with respect to Moro. Pag may mga nahuli doon sa communities, punta kami sa Kulyat, they will be ino-occupy ng yung mga lupa nila. Nag-rally kami doon sa Rabalabagan. At that time, nag-rally kami. Kahit international issue at that time, mga Israel. Nandoon kami sa US Embassy, nagsusunog sa Israel Embassy ng mga flags. Nung chief legis ako ni Senator Padilla, pinapapunta ako sa Israel, hindi ako sumama, baka kulong ako doon pagdating ko. Those things na nangyari nung ako ay undergrad at saka nung law school. So, it is more enlightening, and I realized na hindi dapat hanggang dito. If you are a lawyer, you can make the law more powerful if you have it. And I realize
It's really empowering.
yes,
talaga.
it's really empowering.
Attorney Han, hindi pa tayo tao, but Sir Alga has been fighting for causes for Bangsamoro. Diba? So, just amazing. Sir, I would like to ask, after you graduated your program, your undergrad program, nag-work na po ba kayo?
As undergrad, no.
Hindi pa.
Full-time.
Diretso ka na ba?
Diretso ako. Full-time.
Okay.
Ayaw ng mga magulang namin mag-work. Sabi nila, we are business. Bakit kayo pa kayo magtatrabaho?
Okay.
Tupagin nyo yung pag-aaral nyo. Bigay lang na sila ng bigay ng pangbigay ng enrollment.
So, is it safe to say, sir, na kaya nakapag-aral kayo sa Manila kasi mayaman kayo?
No, that. Our parents are hardworking, especially my father. He's the pioneering yung mga pagtitrip sa Hong Kong. Ganyan. And then, mag-import ng mga antique.
Yung sabi nga nila, pag Maranao, business-minded. They're everywhere and they establish businesses anywhere na mapuntahan nila. Okay, so let's now go to your law school experience, sir. Kamusta naman yung experience mo when you stepped into law school as a political law grad?
Political science.
Science, sorry.
It's very different because you must have a discipline. It's structured in the sense that the teacher, they are teachers, they are dictators, so you must follow their rules. And some of our teachers are author of books and authority.
Opo.
For instance, Ortega, professor, he's the authority of criminal law sa buong Pilipinas. So you cannot and Professor Justice Di Maampao.
Na-prof mo si Justice.
Yes. Yeah. So
Tax po ba yung consti?
I think negotiable instrument.
Okay.
Practically very impressive, siya yung nire-respect na professor
Mashallah.
doon. So You really have to study. At that time, the standard is so high dun sa pag-enroll namin. So you really have to do it. Meron din mga lax na mga teachers. So
Sir, curious ako, since sabi mo nga mga authority yung mga naging professor nyo, were there times na pag-recitation, hindi ka talaga makasagot? Kasi syempre, intimidating.
yes, there were times na hindi ka talaga makasagot. You cannot expect that you can answer everything. But most of the time naman, sa recitation, minsan sometimes 3 hours, the more you are interesting, the more that you are being asked questions.
So interesting ka po ba during recitation?
Yes, it's good that I have that kind of I don't know, kasi pag nagbasa ka naman and I read a lot, nakakasagot ka, and it has to be responsive to the questions being asked.
So, as someone who reads a lot in law school, okay bang sabihin na you did well in law school?
I can say that, but not only read, because I read very obscure books.
When you say obscure, mga...
These are not required by the teachers. For instance, Tolentino. Did you heard? Narinig nyo ba si Tolentino?
Yeah, familiar ang Tolentino.
Binasa nyo ba sa Sibilo si Tolentino?
Hindi po. Paras po ata yung binabasa ko.
Yang paras yung, sabi ko, huwag kayong magbasa niyan. Mabubobo kayo dyan, sabi ko sa mga mga nagtatanong sa akin. Kasi those are very basic. Tolentino, he will go to the very origin of civil law. Manresa, Kapitan. Do you know that?
Binabasa ko lang yung Manresa na yun sa mga sinasite.
Yes, sinasite. But he Tolentino would juxtapose at saka describe, this is the position of Manresa on this. This is the position of Kapitan. And this is the position of pang author. These were the authorities of civil law in Spain. So you put back into the crafting of this law.
So parang
mas malalim yung understanding mo.
Exactly. Hindi shallow.
Yeah, and then when you read Paras, hindi nyo kita yung si mga niya, yung I mean, very elementary. But you, of course, you have to read Paras very elementary so that you can understand as a new law student.
Yes.
But if you have a teachers like, for instance, Aligada, ito teacher siya sa UST, and Padilla, these are authorities in civil laws at that time. Hindi pwedeng Paras lang ang basahin mo. So you have your thought of law must be deeper.
Yeah.
And when you answer like that, okay to. So it will be engaging. Pero it will take a lot of time when you read Tolentino.
Kumusta naman yung generation natin, Attorney Haron, na minsan yung mga memory aid lang yung
Oo. Kasi po ay yung generation namin po, parang may mga ibang law student na memory aid, diretso sila sa memory aid. And yung sinasabi nga namin na you cannot anong tawag doon, you cannot shortcut law school but just by reading memory aid. Yung memory aid na yan parang very lang yan.
tip of the iceberg.
Yes, ako kasi I am very philosophical in everything. So I have to understand the law the deepest, kung meron pang deepest, because if I understand the deepest, I know what I'm talking about and I know why this exists.
So,
And if you read the memory book, these are tip of an iceberg. It will not trace you back to the origin and why this law was created in the first place. So when I explain sometimes sa mga kakilala ko and then minsan sa mga anak ko kay Mai, that we actually root the law sa pinaka-root niya because you have to start from the very when you have a deeper understanding of the law. And then actually you can make the law alive and you can share it, you can empower it, can empower you.
So ito talaga yung mga effect ng pagbabasa ng speaking of pagbabasa, sir, how long do you spend reading in law school?
Nagbabasa ako pero 8 hours is mahaba na yun. Pero actually
ceiling na.
I am a type of a person na nagbabasa ako, hindi mahaba ako magbasa. I mean 1 or 2 hours pero it's not continued.
Okay. Parang later magbabasa ka na naman.
Kasi I am more on kasi kanya-kanyang technique eh.
Totoo.
So, I'm a person, hindi lang yung iba before kasi, when I go back to the example of Tolentino, yung pagbabasa ng book niya, at the first, it was torturous.
Oh.
Very torturous.
I can imagine. Oo.
Ang hirap, ang tagal.
Hindi mo mag-gets.
Hindi mo maganda, I had to read it back. But it is good. Why? Nung natintindihan ko na yung writing niya, lahat ng writing niya, nagbabilis na ako. I read other books, parang elementary na parang newspaper. So when I transfer to other books, any book, constitutional o criminal, madali lang intindihin. Because yung analysis niya malalim yung mga books na iba. So, when you have that deeper understanding, mga structure ng mga sentences, paragraphs, how it correlates the law, section 1 to, like for instance, family code, kasi iba sila, they correlate everything. They can do that. And unconsciously, pag binabasa mo yun, the book shares that to you. And then, unconsciously, you adapt it. Na-adapt mo yun. And then you adapt it in your, kahit na tumanda ka as lawyer. So when you see these particular laws, like for instance, I give you a recent example, this Bangsamoro Autonomous Act 77, yung redistricting, consists of 8 sections. So, ginamay ko pala. May unconstitutional, mayroong violation ng BUL, mayroong violation ng civil law. Yung effectivity, lahat. So, yun. I mean, those trainings na nakuha ko, ay not because I choose. Because the books na binasa ko, unconsciously, tinuturuan ka na ito yung, kasi they make comparative analysis So, madali lang sa'yo. You process and then, our brains, operating system yan So, you train your brains, yung mga nakikinig dito, na magbasa kayo ng mahihirap na mga libro. Kahit na kasi there are valid, books kahit ngayon, na makakatulong sa inyo. So, in the sense also, it changes you philosophically.
With what Sir Alga said, no, we really have to read, especially sa mga listeners natin. Kasi for us to, yun yung parang may comparison ka sa mga opinions and yung annotations ng mga authors. At the same time, gusto ko lang din i-educate yung mga listeners natin na during recitation, when your professor says ano ang legal basis mo, it should be this kind, yung mga annotated books or laws talaga. Because some students po, narinig ko, ang legal basis nila is yung mga memory aid. Kaya, please, just how Sir Alga did when he was in law school, kailangan yung magbasa ng mga libro and kung pwede, yung mga may hirap din na libro. I'm learning also.
Actually, if you read memory, ganyan lang shortcut, you can be a lawyer someday,
Yeah.
Pero you will stand out if you are deeper, if you have deeper understanding of law.
True.
So lahat yan, in the end, kayo rin reap that. But if you are a lawyer na talagang you continue legal education, ito hindi yung MCLE, curious sa lahat ng mga bagay, you will stand out sa lahat ng mga lawyers. Kasi makikita yan na makikita. So kung memory aid, you are a memory aid lawyer, ka sa memory aid lawyer, your client will see that. Everybody will notice it. Hindi mo alam yun, pero abogado na yan. Tignan mo. Pinagtatawanan ka, pero pag akala mo, pero the law community, alam yan. Alam din nila yung magagaling. Alam din nila yung straight, na alam nila. So, everyone knows each other. So, you must be in the reputation dun sa, siyempre, dun sa best, di ba?
Yaman din lang na nagpapakahirap ka dyan sa law school. Might as well be the best when you become a lawyer, no?
Pahirapan mo na yung sarili
Totoo.
mo. Kasi wala nang opportunity na pahirapan mo. Kasi pag naging abogado ka, hindi na ka na maghirap niyan.
Totoo.
Biro mo, meron na ngayong AI that can proofread your book. Yung iba, ginagamit nila sa structure ng kanilang mga pleading.
Yeah.
Pero don't go to that. Pwedeng siguro pag nag-graduate ka na, naging lawyer ka na, but you have to do it the hard way.
Amazing. Sir, between the first, dun sa first year, second year, third year, fourth year, ano yung pinakamahirap sa'yo na part ng law school mo na year?
It's always the first year.
First year.
Okay ka na.
Mahirap
Second year,
talaga.
medyo okay na. But fourth year is not about the difficulty, but you're actually thinking of becoming or not becoming a lawyer. It's more on psychological. But you will not kakabahan ka kapag medyo nagpabaya ka eh.
Totoo. Especially dun sa mga subject na
Yes.
hindi mo binasa na maayos. Pagdating mo sa law, sa fourth year, binabalikan ka niya.
Yes,
Ayan.
at sisingilin ka actually.
Sisingilin ka. Okay, sir. What year did you graduate po in law school?
I graduated 1998 October.
October, and then nag-review na po kayo after nun?
Yes, nag-review ako kasi October yan, and then 1999 yung bar exam.
1999, September po ba to? No?
September 3, 4 Sundays.
4 Sundays. And ano po yung preparations nyo during the review?
The review. This is it. Iba yung study ko. I have to do it. Circadian rhythm. So, natutulog talaga ako ng 8 hours a day.
Okay.
You cannot deprive yourself 8 hours a day. And do not exchange that circadian rhythm. Yung meaning, dapat tulog yung tao ng 10.
Yes.
Gising ka na umaga. And then, yun. Yun ang ginagawa ko. So, unfortunately, meron akong
roommate.
Yung isang kabilang
Room.
iba yung habit niya. Ang habit niya, ng umaga.
Parang night owl.
So, tulog siya pag
Morning.
Morning. Kasi nag-aral siya for 3 or 4. So, nagkasakit din later on. So, you don't do that because you cannot change kasi ng law of nature yan. And every day, I have to answer at least 5 bar questions.
Okay. Amazing.
That is every day.
Nice.
Kasi, alam mo, bar examination is not a recitation. So, you do not recite there. You write your answer. So, doon na lang ako mag-practice. So, nagpa-practice ako. So, written yun at that time. So, yun yung ginawa ko. Hanggang, you will train yourself comprehending the question. At the same time, you can train yourself writing your answer.
So, medyo napadali sa'yo yung bar review mo kasi you did the hard work when you were in law school.
Yes, of
And
course.
ganun naman talaga dapat, diba? Nice. Now, let's go now sa bar exam day mo. Ano sa tingin mo, sir? Mas okay ba yung 4 Sundays or okay yung ngayon na isang week na lang for the entire bar exams?
I think dapat ganun yun sa amin.
Okay.
Kasi makareview ka ng mga 6 days.
Right. And then, parang may preparation,
May
may cool down
preparation, yes.
pa part.
Yes, kasi you have to give the examinee a time to rest after grilling 1 or 2 days and then review. I experienced that when I took the Sharia
Yes. O nga
a
pala.
few months ago.
Yes, congratulations
Magtatabi
pala dun, sir, for passing the Sharia bar exams, no? And kanina sinabi niya, Attorney Nan, he studied for the Sharia bar using slides lang. So, ganun kadali sa kanya.
Sir, nag-shortcut ka rin.
Well, he earned it naman kasi. Oh, diba? Kasi alam naman niya yung basics and everything.
No, wala kasing materials akong mabasa available. So, yung nag-share sa akin, puro mga slides.
Slides.
So, I have no choice. Slide. And I devoted 80% of my study doon sa Islamic jurisprudence. Kasi I'm very weak.
Iyon daw yung mahirap yung jurisprudence.
I think
at
it is
saka
succession.
Nakatulong ba ang slides, sir, sa succession?
Except yung succession na yon, hindi na slide yon kasi may libro akong binili. It happens to be na yun yung libro ng examiner. And I know 1 week before na siya yung examiner kasi yung table of content niya at saka yung syllabus ay pareho. Sabi ko, ito yung examiner. Inaral ko. Wala pa rin masyadong nakita kami ng examiner kasi kasama ko siya sa isang kaso, kami magkasama. Sabi ko, pinahirapan mo kami.
Ayun. Ay, once again, congratulations, sir. Kailangan talaga, pag maging abogado ka na, never stop learning, di ba?
Yeah, actually, because of that, nag-guilty ako. I'm now studying Islamic Studies in UP.
You're taking your master's today.
Yes, oo.
Mashallah.
Kasi I appreciate a lot yung Islamic jurisprudence. The philosophy, yung laws, Sharia, I think dapat kayo aralin niyo yun.
At saka,
Malalim. So I'm now studying. Sana matapos ko.
sana sir, kasi swerte rin ng community natin if yung mga katulad nyo sir very engaged sa improving our Sharia system. Kasi yung isa ring friend ko na parang pact niya ngayon sa self niya is maka-help daw siya na magkaroon na ng mga yung forms na parang when filing parang wala pa daw as in like specific forms na nasusunod. So parang sana magkaroon ng system talaga. Pero wait lang sir, gusto ko itanong kasi 'di ba with all the effort mo sa law school magbasa ng Tolentino, meron bang projection or meron tayong pangarap na mag-top notcher sa bar exam?
No. I have no pati sa klase actually I don't want to medyo gusto ko lang talaga it's the learning itself that I compete with myself.
Right.
Although okay naman sa klase naman yung performance natin pero I am more on that sa philosophical side of learning.
Okay, so let's go sir dun sa day na lumabas yung results nyo. Kamusta naman? Walk us through po.
Yeah, actually, mga 2 weeks before the results, there was already controversy because one of the examiners is the nephew of the chairman of the bar exam. I think you have to reveal it before. Dapat di siya naging examiner kasi may pamangkin. So, pumasa siya pero actually, he was not able to take oath. I think siguro after several years na. So, because of that, yung passing na 75 hindi binaba. Kaya mababa yung passing. And then, nagsasabi, marami mabagsak. Until such time na 2 or 3 days before it was announced, only 660 will pass.
Grabe.
16% of those of the examinees. Pero ako, hindi ako kinabahan. I don't know for some reason. Si May nang nakakaano nito, tatawa kayo. Pero, I don't know. Hindi ako kinabahan. Sabi ko, ready naman ako. Pero, kung hindi naman ako sabi kong gano'n, I'll make it. I didn't make it. Hindi pa ako decided if I will take or not. Pero, yun, hindi kinabahan. Pero, if I did not make it, nagpa-prepare na rin ako.
Kaya ka ba hindi kinabahan kasi feeling mo you have done your part?
Yes, I was so ready to take it. And this is what happened, family, what happened. Dalawa yung pumasa at that time. My sister, pumasa ng physician. Okay. Nauna siya. Tapos, in-announce na konti lang yung passing, 660. And then, sabi ng mga kapatid ko, mag-celebrate na tayo. Kasi, hindi lang sinasabi na baka bumagsak to. Sabi ko, sige, celebrate. Sabi ko, kasi siyempre nauna siya, if I did not make it, no?
It will be difficult not to celebrate.
Baka hindi na siya makapag-celebrate. So, nag-celebrate na kami. So, nung bumasa ako, nag-celebrate ulit. Sabi ko, ganun.
Na-mention mo kanina na after passing the bar exams, nag-work ka na sa Court of Appeals.
Yes.
As a court attorney po ba
Yes,
sir?
court attorney for.
For agad, amazing.
Oo. Kasi, my plan is that I need to hone my writing. So, Court of Appeals talaga yung inano ko. I worked there for almost 10 months.
Okay. And ito po ba yung kayo yung gumagawa ng resolutions or decisions?
Yes. So bibigyan kami ng isang rolyo, isang folder na ganyan, record, and then we will research everything, and then we will draft the resolution or decision. And then there's a senior lawyer who will review that and then check niya. And then kung okay na,
So,
si justice naman na mag-ano.
So parang first sabak nyo pa lang, sir.
Yes.
Writing na siya.
Writing. Kasi it is, kapag di ka marunong magaling magsulat, iyan yung communication ng lawyer eh. That is you have to develop that.
So after 10 months in Court of Appeals, ano po yung next na...
Yeah, nag-retire siya and then after that at that time nag-private ako kasi election dito.
Okay.
Sabi ko tama-tama mag-election lawyer.
This was in around
2001.
2001.
Yes, and my first client ever is the late Mayor
Omar Ali
Solitario.
Solitario.
Yes. So dito. May uncle, kilala nung uncle ko, Judge Zero, Judge Bagindani Pacalna. Siya yung nag-introduce. So yun.
And for how long po kayo naging election lawyer?
I think dito mga isa lang beses na. After that, ayoko na.
Bumalik ka na.
Although okay naman yung compensation, but it is not actually lawyering that much. It is more on more dignified watcher. You watch the votes, you cannot argue. Although at that time may pre-proclamation controversy, and then you protest everything, but there's no lawyering there. Except that may siyempre mga abogado kailangan magpakita na theatrics. Dito na mga theatrics.
Relate si Hanan.
So yun. It was my first sabak and siguro naka-election lawyering ako twice or thrice pero since 2007 tumigil na ako.
Tumigil ka na. So after your very short na stint mo as an election lawyer here sa Marawi, bumalik ka na sa Metro Manila.
Yes, this time litigation.
Okay,
Sa
private practice.
Public Attorney's Office.
Amazing. Wow.
Yes, for 7 months lang yata.
Ba't parang ang identical nung story nyo ni Bordsec? Kasi di ba parang Court of Appeals, attorney for ba yun? Then nagpao din siya.
Pau, and then I hired her sa Regional Human Rights Commission.
Kasi after PAO,
Yes,
RHRC na kayo.
Yes, so. Hindi, after Pau, meron pa akong sa Government Corporate Council. Matagal ako doon, mga 12 years. Yes.
Government corporate.
Council. Yun,
Council.
Corporate Council. It's the corporate side of the government. I mean, yung mga government-owned and controlled corporation.
May specific ka ba na position or government na gusto mong puntahan? Or you were just, sige, kung ano yung available or yung opportunity na dumating, doon ako?
Wala pa at that time.
Okay.
Wala pa at
Wala
that
pa.
time. And then after private practice, gusto ko na mag-private for the entire rest of my life.
So
That was in 2013.
you've been in the government for
In total, 14 years.
14 years.
Yes.
And ngayon sir, you are
Private practice.
you're in
So,
private practice. Yeah, na based din sa research namin, you were also a Chevening scholar.
yes.
Is that a Chevening fellow? Sorry, Chevening fellow.
Yes. Actually, I competed with my better half, best half, my Sarah.
Our previous
Yes.
boss.
Kasi they have Chevening Scholar. So, Chevening Scholar, nag-file ako. And then, nakalagay dun sa application ko, whether or not you will bring your family. I said, no, I'm not bringing my family. Bago ko i-submit, sabi ko, nakaka-guilty naman, pakita ako sa kanya. So, nung nakita siya, nagalit siya. Pero walang sinabi. Pero alam ko yun na mag-apply siya. Kasi nakita niya yun napakasa mo kami And then, yun nga, kami yung nag-compete. We were shortlisted. We competed for that position. Alam ko siya mananalo. Scholar siya kanya sa akin Magaling yung UP. Siya yung nakuha. But I was offered after that, yung mas sabi ko, mas malaki binigay sa akin. Chevening Fellowship, which is 3 months, pero mas malaki yung ginasto sa akin. It's University of Birmingham. So, doon kami, kasama naman yung anak namin for 1 year.
Now na nadaanan nyo na po yung pagiging government lawyer and pagiging private practitioner, which do you think is better?
If you want to enjoy the law, private practice because you are free. And you can depende na yun if you want to shape the law, no? Because you can file public interest cases.
Ano pong memorable public interest cases na you already filed?
We have so many. I have so many, but I think may lahat ng achievement na public interest ko ay yung Zamboanga Siege.
Yan ba yung sabi ni Boardsec na nagpadala, parang isang buong plane ang naiuwi niyo sa
Yes.
Mindanao?
We do not have, pero tapos na yung kaso. The Regional Human Rights Commission has no jurisdiction over Zamboanga. We were able to do that. Sabi ko, kahit na ma-ombudsman ako dito. So, ang ginawa namin legal assistance, napasukan namin, and actually, some of them were tortured. And hanggang ngayon, di alam, pero baka alam na ng iba, they were tortured by their fellow Moro soldiers.
Grabe.
So, 248 binyahe sa Bikutan. Binisita namin doon yung isang building, lahat sila. And then, pinrofile namin lahat. Yung iba may lawyers, pero yung iba may lawyers sa PAO, but we have 52, I think, clients. It is good that we were there. At dahil nandoon tayo, in 2019, kasi 2011 yun ay 13 yun nag-start Well, I escorted the last detainee. I was not anymore in RHRC at that time, pero pinagpatuloy ko since 2015 nung umalis ako sa RHRC, I still continue handling cases. And because I was there, the prosecution, DOJ, has to continue the case kasi otherwise sinususpend nila yung trial And then nakaka-dismiss kami from time to time, every 3-4 months nakadi-dismiss. Until such time na nakalaya na sila lahat.
And sir, narinig po namin na you handle a lot of pro bono cases. Ano po yung hugot nyo? Bakit humahawak kayo ng mga pro bono cases?
I think it is more on kapag may lumalapit, hindi ko mahindian. And then, sinasabi ko lang kay Mai, siyempre, it will take your time if you handle cases. And then I said, ang ko lang naman doon, pag may lumapit sa'yo, I think I told Mai and then my children, this is an opportunity for you to make the law alive. So you have that tool, me, as a tool, and I have to do that. And then recently, nasa abroad kami, nagbabakasyon, natawagan ako. May nakulong dito, taga Norte, ganito. Ako, sige. So at the time, mag-ano kayo ng Viber kasi walang so Viber. So then I talk. And then, at such time, nakinuha ko nga. And then, kailangan ko talagang tulungan. Kasi talagang, hindi talaga siya yun. I mean, kasi bina-background investigation ko. So, yun yung sa akin. May mga tortured victim na unfortunately, halos karamihan ng mga na-handle ko, mga Tausug, mga Maguindanao, mga na-torture talaga. Zamboanga. Pero wala pang Maranao When there was dito nung mga nangyari yung Marawi Siege, unfortunately, hindi ko ma-distinguish kung sino talaga yung i-assist ko, walang magbabounce. Kaya ayoko naman na kasi pag nasunog ka na ito palang in-assist mo ay positive, mahirapan ka sa reputation mo sa community, sa legal community doon. Maingat tayo. So, although konti lang yung lumapit sa akin at that time, yung iba magbibigay pa ng 1M. Sabi ko nung inano ko, na timbrihan ko na supporter pala yon. Nagpipinang, sabi ko doon sa ayaw ko. Hindi, sabi may rito. Sabi ko, hindi, I'm not counseling because of that. My higher value is, kasama ba siya o hindi? Nakulong ba yan dahil inosente siya na pagbintangan? That is my own, not because he can pay for this case particularly, kasi kumukuha rin naman ako ng paying But in this particular case, I am more concerned kung inosente siya o hindi, kung arbitrarily kinuha siya. That's my question. Not if he can pay 1 million.
It's very evident na yung background ni Sir Alga, it's centered doon sa cause niya for Bangsamoro. Kanina na-mention niya na bilang aktivista, ang cause nila is for Bangsamoro. And now, yung works niya is clearly for the Bangsamoro.
Kaya nga yung sabi rin ni Boardsec, di ba, na parang Nasa Manila lang yun, pero yung lahat ng trabaho niya na related yan sa Bangsamoro.
Before, when I was young, I am more on the collective identity of
Right.
the Bangsamoro. So, mahirap mo kasi yung na collective identity kasi alam natin yan, it is an artificial being. Pero if you put it into concrete image, ang makikita mo dyan yung mga ordinaryong mga tao. So, sila yung mga nangangailangan talaga ng batas. Sila actually yung naaapi.
This coming Sunday na ang first bar examinations, and when we will be airing this episode po ay tapos na yung yung bar exam. Now, what advices do you have for these bar takers pag pumasa na sila at maging abogado?
Well, I think they have to reflect. Why do you want to be a lawyer? I mean, it is a tool. A human resource tool that you possess. What do you want to do? But everyone has different purpose. Iba-iba yung purpose ba? Some gusto lang ma-promote. Some gustong qualification. Some gustong mag-practice. So, iba-iba yung Pero whatever it is, I think we have to make the law alive. I mean, within us and with other people. You can make the law beautiful when it is alive, when you see it. There was a time nung COVID, kasi yung COVID, it is very funny because I took that case 9 years. Nandun ako, is pro bono. And then, yung dalawang Maguindanao na kliyente ko, libre sila, walang no. They were acquitted. Nung tinorture sila, nung sila, kasi nakatayo ako na sila, nanonood, umiiyak ako. That's the first time I cried. Tapos umiyak din yung dalawang kliyente. Akala nila, guilty sila, hindi nila naintindihan. Sabi ko doon sa clerk, sabi mo nga,
Na-acquit sila.
acquitted sila. Natuwa sila. So, yung incentive is different eh. It is, you don't do it because you get the incentive. Because you
It's
don't
more
do
than
it.
that.
It's more than that. I mean, that is how you see yourself.
True.
And how do you want to live na ito yung batas dapat sa akin ito kasi I'm not imposing it to anyone. Pero kung if there are so many people who are doing it, then mas maganda. So, you are a new lawyer, kahit na nagtatrabaho, even when I was in the government for 10 years, tumatanggap pa rin ako ng mga nagde-draw. Kasi bawal mag-practice eh. So, tumutulong pa rin ako sa mga yung mga pro bono on the side. Pero hindi ako nag-a-appear. So, depende na rin yun actually sa kanila. Pero you can make law very, very beautiful if the law will be alive. Pero kung ituturo mo yung law, it will mag-educate ka sa community. We were doing that before, sa mga community. Ito yung karapatan nyo. You make the law more beautiful kasi nalalaman nila, they know how to talk to the police kung nahuli sila. So, those are the things. So, yun yung pwede mong gawin. This is it. Yung isang kliyente na yun, I have to actual na gastos ko ay 2,000 to go there and go back. We agreed. Sabi ko, you do not have acceptance, you do not have appearance, everything. But yung gasolina lang, actual, 2,000. And then nandito yung asawa niya nag-GC sa akin ng 2,000. Hindi pa niya mag-GC. Sabi ko, wag na lang.
No.
So, these things happen. Ganyan. So, yun. The thing is, you have to share something, Pero, sharing lang kasi you have it eh. It is something that is finite, na hindi naubos eh. So, our knowledge, our skills, when you share it, hindi siya nauubos. Nadadagdagan siya sa tingin ko kasi nadadagdagan yung experience mo, nadadagdagan yung siguro kaibigan mo kasi you become connected with this person, people, So, yun na siguro yung maging incentive. Hindi naman pera yan. Pag nagbigay ka, may minus. But if you serve something, if you share something, it will enrich you. At the same time, it will not impoverish your knowledge or your what you share. So yun lang siguro. I hope that we have a good conversation here.
It's a good conversation po. I think napansin na yun ng listeners natin na parang hooked kami ni Attorney Haron na makinig kasi parang kami yung nalilecturean. At the same time, parang you're 1 out of 10. Parang first time ko makakita or makakausap ng lawyer na ganito yung tingin niya sa batas. You make the law alive, you make the law beautiful. Parang, okay. May igaganda. At may ganun pala tayong obligasyon to make the law alive.
Law is abstract kasi. So you cannot touch the law unless you actually practice it and experience it. Pag nanodoon ka sa korte, makikita mo yung nagkukopra lang siya tapos biglang nandoon sa Laguna na hinuli na may asawa siya, may 3 anak. Na illiterate siya na hanggang ngayon nakakulong. And then you are there na nandun ka na sa batas, nandun yung judge, nandun sa fiscal. Sabi mo sa kanila experience lahat. Tinutulungan mo. That is how the law becomes alive. Because if you were not there, the law is dead to that person.
I don't.
That is how you make the law alive. It's abstract pero may mga tao yan. Tao yung nahuli doon, nandun ka. Nandun siya. At sabi niya sa akin, ito makita ko sa inyo. Text lang this week. Gusto ko nga puntahan. Salamat, Torne. Kapa kaya mibigay karakan ki Jalal sa ayong bagayakan na 1K.
No.
Kayo man na Gcash akan nagrakagi to din number pagulugan nun. Amay ko hearing yan na ukapakaya mimbitiaraya mi atawag kar kami dedin na tama nakapanalamat meron ka. So Allah agusir ka attorney. May mga cry pa siya. The law is alive. I could have rejected him kasi nasa abroad kami touring with my family. This is an annoyance. Why would I don't know these people. Pero, why? Bakit ako nasa abroad, tinatawagan ako? So yun. This is the person. Monday, atin ako sa hearing ng asawa niya.
This episode, Attorney Hanan, is a good reminder for us, lawyers. Oh, ayan, umiiyak ka na yun. and the law students na the legal profession is not just a career, no. It's more than just a career. It's a calling. Now, when you are out there, you can actually make difference in the lives of these people.
Oh, at saka parang makikita mo talaga doon, Attorney Haron, na if really your intention is to become your intention of becoming a lawyer is really to help the people, you really have to do the work. Hindi ka lang nakatingin sa I have to pass the bar. Dapat talagang yung kagaya ng ginawa ni Sir na beyond the textbooks, inaaral niya. Kasi para pag naging lawyer ka na, yung sabi nga niya, you will be ahead of every lawyer or around you. Na it will be your tool na mas maging effective, help ka sa mga community na yun nga yung ganito na may mga victims na they don't deserve, na ikaw lang yung magbibigay ng makakapagbigay ng justice and ikaw yung magiging way nila, daan nila to attaining that justice. Grabe. First time ko maiyak sa episode natin na because of a practice. Usually sa mga bar results, Ngayon lang na parang na-emotional ako na because of a practice ng isang lawyer. Parang ganun.
Actually, I am obviously propagating this so that there will be more law students or lawyers that will,
become like you and be more.
People be more, more of sharing or making law alive. Maraming mga karapatan, mga sila Nery Colmenares, these people, sila yung nag-aano ng mga victims of human rights. Sa mga Moro, mga Muslim, walang ganyan. Very unfortunate, So, yun ngayong isang dream ko na kung meron ding mabuong isang group na parang flag, free legal assistance group. They cater to free legal assistance free legal assistance sa mga biktima ng human rights. Sa Muslim, wala yung ganun. So, if we have that, mas siguro we can make law more beautiful.
And more accessible.
Yes.
Pwede na siguro, sir, simulan mo yan at meron ka ng 2 volunteers.
Mas,
Baka kailangan ko munang basahin yung Tolentino.
Hindi na kasi lawyer ka na eh.
Mashallah. Alright, this has been a really good conversation with Attorney Alga. And thank you so much once again, Sir Alga, for spending time with us today and for sharing your amazing and very inspiring na journey. Do you have anyone to give a shout out to?
Wala. Yes, of course. Mai.
Of course. Our former
she's
chairperson.
My, inspiration and my kids actually. Sila yung nag-inspire sa akin every day. Thank you sa inyo pag interview, and I hope that we have a very good
For sure.
experiential
It's very
conversation.
fitting, no, for a bonus episode because deserve ng mga tao na marinig ang kanyang journey. Alright, and that ends our episode for this Monday.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit subscribe and leave a comment.
And also, please don't forget to tag us on your stories and posts.
You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok for daily updates.
Thanks for getting lost with us today. We shall see you next Monday. Bye.